So we're going to share that it's going to be either one. So either of the two. So if you want to, because the Rams game, the football game has so far it's been moved from tomorrow to Tuesday. So I know if the schedule doesn't work, or we can give the Clippers game, which is the Clippers against Brooklyn Nets on the 28th. So we just let the winner pick what they want, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Today is about purposeful giving to prosperity. You know, how can we determine to purposely set up some giving points and understand what it is when you give? You know, I love the holidays. It's a great time. And really, I think most people love the holidays because everybody's in a good spirit. It's not so much of what you're expecting, it's because of what you are endeavoring to give to others. And there's an energy that comes from that. So we're going to talk about that, how we can purposely, you know, set certain times of giving and have an understanding of what it means. Okay. Why is this not clicking? Okay, so why is giving important? Again, going back to the holiday spirit, right? It gives us an energy. There's an energy that comes out of it. And when we pull that energy out, you know, something comes back to us. And I really believe it's not a Christian thing, it's not a Muslim thing. It's a thing that God has created on this earth, which is why we have this picture of the planet Earth, right? In the earth that we all live in, you know, we put seeds in the ground, and at some point, those seeds will become fruits, they will become food, they will become whatever it is that we will plant in. And here's the thing, you don't put a corn seed on the ground and that becomes a flower. You put a corn seed and you get a corn. You put an apple seed, you get an apple. You put a yam seed and you will receive yam. So that tells us, you know, the way this planet is set, either you believe in God or not, is whatever you put in that you receive from. And if you don't put anything, you don't get. Now, there are times you put a little and you get plenty, right? And there are times you put a whole lot and you get just a little bit, you know, whatever that may be. There are different conditions that make that work, you know, the soil, the rain, that kind of stuff, right? So there are other things that need to happen, but first you got to put something in order to receive something. And that's what we talk about, seed to harvest. It's a circle, you know, you give and things happen. So give and release what you have for the good of mankind. It's whatever you put out for mankind, non-profit organization or a cause. You know, so whatever it is, again, it could just be given to a family, it could be given to neighbors. I always think about it, you know, in the different neighborhoods that I have grown up in, there's always been, you know, mostly women I can identify with that have a really good giving heart, right? They allow other kids to come to their house. They give food for other children. Whatever it is that they do, those people, I remember this one lady, it's an old lady. She always gave, you know, even to birds, you know, she feed the birds that come, and she gives to, and she didn't work. And I always wonder, how does that lady survive? You know, she's always willing to give something, and she wasn't working. And for many years, when I was in that neighborhood, I don't recall that lady ever starving, ever being of lack. And I don't see her go to work. So you know, stuff you think about as a kid, but that's not the conversation today. So how do you give? Obviously, there are three ways we can give, right? Our material, you know, thing. You give money to people, give money to an organization, give money to a cause. You give of your time. Time is really, really, I don't want to go very personal, but I know a young lady that used to dedicate her time to children church, and just and she managed that children church when I was going to this church, and this lady, it was a big church. She became the director of children, and it was giving of her time. And what I find out is at that same time she was doing a pre-med. So you need pre-med. She was a surgeon doing a pre-med, and yet on Sunday she's, totally directing every service. We still have 3 services at that location, and she give her time, and then she will come during the week to put classes together for the children classes. And a year later, she got into pre-med school, and she got into a top medical school in the country. And you wonder, like, wow, how did she do that? How did she? This lady worked tirelessly. She gave of her time, and I'm assuming that the very school that she applied for, she got enrolled into. So sometimes it's just the time, and sometimes it's personal service, right? There are different people. Some people will just go, they'll volunteer themselves at the hospital. I've been checked out at the hospital so many times with my daughter, and some old person, and not just old person. I've seen some young people come, and they come and check us out, walk us to the car. And I was talking to them like, yeah, they're just volunteering their time. So it's different ways we can choose to give. But I wanted to make sure you understand that whatever we do give, something comes back to us. It's not just it come back in different ways, so let's keep going on that. Let me not take too much time on that. Okay, so let's look at the types of purposeful giving that we can put into. So number one is philanthropical, and when I'm looking at this, people think it's people that have a lot of money that can do this. True, to be philanthropical, you have to have some money because you are actually putting up the organization together. You are putting up the foundation together to give out. So yes, it can be. So again, philanthropical giving is when you give to a cause, create a cause, or decide to be generous to your community, right? And we'll identify some people in the community that have done that. And what has that done for them? We can talk about that as to what these people, what their philanthropical giving has make them achieve. Okay, so Bill Gates, we know, is one of the richest men in the world. But before I even talk about what Bill Gates have done in terms of, using its Microsoft, template to be a blessing to so many people, I read a story about how it got started, and that story really it tells me who this man is. So a lot of people think philanthropical giving is when you're making the money, right? But Bill Gates, when he first got started, he developed the software, him and his buddies, and at that time IBM was the big, computer maker, and he went to IBM and said, "I've got this great software that's going to make your computer work really well. Will you try it?" And IBM is like, "Well, we've got a lot of different programs working with our stuff. We don't really care for anything, new. Plus, when they came in, they said, I want to be partner with you. And they didn't want to accept that. And it went to HP. My understanding is it went to 3 different other big computer maker and asked them to partner with him on the software, and they all said no. And he went to his dad and said, Dad, okay, I'm not getting people to buy these things. So what I want to do is I want to give it out. And the dad is like, how many you want to give out? At that time, it cost him over $100 to make each software CD, right? So I want to give 50,000 out. And the dad like, okay, we can, so obviously the dad helped him. They made 50,000 and they gave it out to companies, to individuals. They just gave it all out. Imagine, because even myself, I love to give, but 50,000 is not in my brain to capture, to give out. Maybe you give to 10 people, maybe you give to 100 people. This man decided to give 50,000 software out. And of course, you just give it out. And what happened from that, though, is harvest was those people that gave it out started using it and like, wow, this thing is great. And so now all these companies like, oh, okay, can we get that stuff? Can we get it? That's how he actually started his global company. And so when he's got into becoming the billionaire he is, and fund Microsoft with his charitable donations and part, they gave 130 billion. So it's all good, but where they started from is really the key. The harvest they got was millions of people. So now really no computer can go without having that software. But just imagine where they start from. So he is one person. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, him and his wife, Priscilla, are pledged to give away 99% of their wealth to charity over the course of their lifetime. Currently, their fortune is about 114 billion, making them some of the biggest philanthropists in the planet. They'll probably continue to be like that forever, right? Like Gates, Zuckerberg's biggest donation ever was in 2017 when he donated over 1.8 billion in stocks to his foundation. So now people that do this, when they've done so well, what happens is they continue to do well. They continue to stay afloat. The other people, most people, when they get wealth, is to keep it for themselves. And we're gonna look at that model later on. So really, because this life is set up on a continuous giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. So when we give, we get something back. We give something else, we get something back. Again, it's not all about material stuff. It's your time, it's your service. When you have a heart to do this, more stuff come your way. Michael Jordan is another one. Michael Jordan is, again, there's the part where you give, to this and that, but the brother has been really cool. I remember when he first got married to his girlfriend then, Juanita. She had 2 kids. She was a single mom. He took over those kids. They became his. He adopted them, even though he was already a star. Just there is different kind of people, and you wonder why they do so well. Michael Jordan stopped playing basketball like 15 years now, and his name is still out there. His product is still out there because it's a giver. When you give, it just keeps coming back to you. So I'm just curious if anybody, Miss Joyce, any comment you have on this? Stop share for a minute. Okay. All right. I respect sometimes people.
Hi. Oh
How are
no,
you?
I'm okay. I didn't think you could. Well, I had it on mute, so you couldn't hear me.
Okay.
No, but I don't have a lot to offer. It's interesting the concept of giving. I believe in giving, and just as you were speaking, I kind of went back and thought about the times that I've given in the past and why I'm so prosperous right now. So I can attest that giving is critical and important to what you receive in life.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, all right. Let's go back to share. Okay. All right. So Serena Williams is another one. Proud of her heritage, raised in Compton, California. And of course, she went to be the biggest star there is. I believe sister passed away from, violence and stuff. And they gave to the community, gave hope to so many. And, you know, people wonder about the longevity of Serena and her sister, right? And honestly, the difference is that when I look at it too, they're both very talented. And of course, usually an older person, the older sister, older brother always wants to be the more dominant one, right? And she was in her early career, but the talk was Serena is always giving to her community. She just had a larger view of that. And what again, what I always find out is when you give, you have longevity in the business that you do, in whatever you do. It just gives you more longevity. I didn't put up the research, but there was a research done on NBA players and NFL players. How it's like almost 80 to 20%. 80% of the ones that gave to a cause, to something to their community, while they are actively engaged in their business, even actors, 80% of them, their career will last longer, and 99% of those will continue to prosper for a longer time, way after their career is ended. Now, it's 20% the other way. The other players that don't, that just do their own thing, take care of their family, blah, blah. Those players, when their career ended, 80% of them get broke. Do you see the correlation? 80% of those that did not participate in charitable giving, in setting up a cause or joining a cause and putting time to the community, they become broke after their career ended. So I thought that was interesting. And Serena is one like that because, her career continued even lately where she's not playing. You've seen, Serena Matrix, Serena Matrix, Serena Matrix. You've seen all this commercial. It continues to grow on for her even when she's not playing, and I'm really proud to be part of a company that also believes in giving. Keller Williams, we do a Red Day event where we dedicate one day to serve the community, and it's all over. It's not just all over the country; it's all over the world, where everybody go do something for the community. I think last year, in the middle of COVID, I bought some sweaters and we took it to all the care facility in Carson area. And they were like, why are you giving it to us? And the thing just says, what was the description on the sweater? It was Psalm 91, for God to protect them. And I just gave it to all the workers that work in all the care facilities I can find. Whatever it is, sometimes we go to just, pick up trash at the beach. We used to do our Red Day event because I have a daughter that's special needs. We used to do a special need fair day in Torrance, and we bring them all the way from LA, Inglewood, Palos Verdes, and create a special. It's just, and when we do those things, the energy is off the roof. Everybody's happy, and I'm talking the workers, and we'll have like 200 volunteer workers, and everybody feels good. And when you walk away from there, your day is just much more fulfilled, in what you're doing. Okay. So, moving away from the philanthropical concept, I want to talk about the Maisa concept. Maisa is really a Jewish name for tithing. The tenth, giving a tenth of your earnings. What does that mean? That means that when you make, whatever you make, whatever you work at, you have your 100%, and you give 10% of it out. Now, again, I'm not going to bash about it. I'm a Christian, so my 10 usually goes to my church. But it could be anywhere, really. It could be to an organization. It could be to a community. It could be, but just know that you're putting out 10% out first of whatever you get. And people are like, oh, why would I want to do that? When I need to pay taxes and all that stuff. I take the 10% out before I pay taxes. Well, I mean, if you're a W-2, I get it. You already pay your taxes. So you take your 10% out before you save anything you want to save. And I've had people ask me a question like, why would I want to do that? I'm going to just tell you from my experience, right? Because I'm like everybody else. I wasn't taught to do that. And I went into, I remember when I first got out of college, I bought this Ford Tempo. I bought it like brand new from rental company. And that car, I used to fix it like every paycheck. I mean, back in those days, it's like $150, $175 this. But whatever it is, I'm always fixing my car every time I get paid. And I was going through this, and somebody told me, like, I've been thought about tithing. And I'm like, okay, what is that? And I'm like, 10%. It looked like a whole lot of money taken out of my account. But when I started doing it, oh my God, it's unbelievable. The same car that I bought this car like brand new. I've had it for like 3 years at that time, that I'm always fixing something in this car. All of a sudden, it stopped. It stopped. My money stayed in my pocket. And not only that, like the refrigerator going bad, the wash and dryer going bad, whatever those little nonsense things that eats your money, they just stop. I'm like, wow, why didn't I know this before? It was like the best thing I could learn. And just, by doing that, it just protects your 90%. And that's really what it does. It allows you not to waste your money. So you can be tithing, and somebody that's not, your 90% is, you'll get more done with your 90% than the 100% they are keeping. Now, again, tithing is not just for your religious organization. If you have one, I think you should invest in that. But if you don't, then serve with the community. I have a gay friend, like, okay, Gary, if I tithe, I don't go to church. I said, okay, why don't you find an organization to do? And he started doing that. And he told me, like, wow, it makes a difference. I said, yes, it does. You could literally be giving it to a community that's, outreach for women or child abuse, whatever that may be. And because you're purposely doing that, you see the difference in your money. So that's, I think I I was sharing a story. I had a client that was in escrow, and we couldn't get his loan done. And we were just in this escrow for like 5 months. And what, no matter what we do, and they keep telling us you need to have a little more money for down payment and closing costs. And sometime along the way, I was moved to ask her, like, I know you go to church. She said, yeah. I said, do you tithe? And she said, no. I said, can I just ask you to give it a shot, just for 90 days? Try for 90 days. But she's like, well, Gary, I'm trying to save money. You guys say I don't have enough money. I said, I get it. Just start it. And I tell you the truth, this lady did it that weekend. And literally the next Tuesday, I didn't call the lender. The lender just called me up and said, Gary, I got something that's going to work for your client. I'm like, really? And he said, I tried the approval and I got an approval. She ended up not needing the money that she was saving for in that escrow, that she only need what she has in escrow for deposit, cover what all she needed, and she closed. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was like, I'm not saying that's going to be the same for everybody, but it was that transparent where what you have. And she called me that Sunday, like, Gary, I did it. You told me I did it, and I gave an offering, blah, blah, So just to let people know about that. Okay. So an offering is something beyond your 10%. Like I said, the 10% is it's really to cover you, right? When you give an offering, $10, $100, whatever that extra you give, that's where you get more that comes back from, to you. That's where you get the multiple opportunities and stuff like that. So don't want to dwell too much in that, but it just know that when you give above the 10%, then you're actually asking for more to come your way, either at your work or, whatever you do. Okay. And let's see. Now, first fruit offering. Okay. This is more a dedicated offering you put. I think I don't know where I know my wife will always tell my kids, like, hey, your first paycheck, you need to give it to me. I'm your mom, blah, blah, blah. And they will argue over it. And the idea behind that is, if your first fruit, if you give it as an offering, more will come your way. My first real estate transaction, even though it took me a pretty, well, it wasn't my first real estate. Let me not lie about that. This is when I learned about this first fruit offering. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that. So one year, the first closing I did, I gave it all. I just signed off on it and I gave it out. And that year was remarkable from the previous years because of that. So a first fruit offering is just when you dedicate to give an offering that out of what you got, and expect a good thing. I think I had one closing that I mapped to give, and I gave it to this particular place, and nothing came out. I'm like, okay, I think I did the wrong place on that one. But first fruit offering is something you purposely give to get something big. Now, let me share. I was in a legal case many years back, and people always wonder why you get blessed in certain things, right? There's a lot of legal cases that I've had friends been in, and mature to nothing. They don't work, and they all of that stuff. And I was in the middle of this legal case, and we are getting nowhere, and it was a pretty big case, but we're not getting anywhere. And I was moved to give like a $5,000 offering. I'm like, whoa, $5,000, that's a lot of money. But I put that money together and I gave it. And what was interesting is, before I gave it, there was really nothing moving forward with my lawyers and the other lawyers. And once I gave this thing, what came out of me was a boldness that I called my lawyer. I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. And it's like, Gary, are you crazy? We don't think we can get that at all. We don't even know if we have a case. I said, I hear you, but I want you to listen to me. I'm still your client. He said, yeah. I said, well, I want you to propose this to them, to the other party. And he did, and we got a response. And we got a response, and so it was super exciting. Okay, this response is good. I said, no, that's not what I'm hearing in my spirit. I want you to carry them back with this. And I had all this lawyer came to meet with me like, Gary, we've worked a lot, we've spent money to get testimonies and all that stuff. I think what we have on the table here, we need to take it because we don't think if we go to a court, we're gonna win this case. I said, that's all right. So it was just a boldness, and that boldness did not come until I gave that offering, because I know I gave an offering that I normally, $5,000 is a lot for anybody, especially when you just give it out. It just came, and you know what? We end up getting the most out of that situation. So first fruit offering is a dedicated offering you give, and it will create a different resolution for you. Okay. So I'm going to kind of go through the famous people we know. We've talked about the philanthropical giving, right? So now let's look at those people we know that do not believe. They believe in keeping their money. They make their money, they can keep their money. They can spend it, the way they want to spend, right? So let's take a look at those. Vince Young, if you're a football fan, I'm a big football fan. I'm sure you all probably know I'm a sports fan because I'm giving both basketball or football, right? Vince Young, and I'm a USC fan too because my wife went to USC. They played USC in the Rose Bowl, which was probably the best bowl game ever. Ever. And this guy just took Texas because USC was such a good team that year. It took Texas, they were even behind. He just started running that ball and throwing the ball. This guy was awesome coming out of college, right? And he came out of college, he got drafted, I believe, by Tennessee, Houston at that time. Yeah, the Titans, the Houston Titans before they become Tennessee. And made a lot of money in the NFL, but he's a believer in keeping his money, spending his money the way he wanted, again, not a philanthropical, type of person. And the call is, it live a short career, because coming out of college, the way this guy did, it could be a Tom Brady right now, because it was much better than Tom Brady coming out of college. And Tom Brady is in, again, Tom Brady, I didn't even mention that. Tom Brady is another one. That's a brother that gives. He gives, not just that he makes money, he gives money to, he spread his wealth. You see all this quarterback, they want to get paid, which is cool. You get paid, right? But Tom Brady, the reason why is 43 years old, almost 44 years old, unheard of, to be in the NFL and still playing at a high level, is because the brother gives what he makes. Rather than him collecting the most money, which most quarterbacks all want to do, he will say, no, my offensive line guys, okay, I'm going to give you 2 million more, 1 million more, 2 million more. It just makes those guys rich. And it will spread his wealth. The guy is like the best quarterback in the last 20 years. It gets paid like 1/10 of some of these top quarterbacks, because it will spread his wealth with other people. And what happened is those guys will die than to let somebody hit him. So people like Vince Young just like, no, I want my money, get my money, spend my money. And, it came out broke. And in a short career, I think he played in the NFL for less than 10 years. And Tom Brady is now, year 20. Latrell Sprewell, another good, flashy NBA player. I remember him more when he was playing with Golden State. Really good player. But it was noted for asking for my money. Give me my money. When they were trying to construct a team around him, they said, no, you got to give me my money first. And at the top of his career, he was making 14.6 million. And today he is broke. Again, the person is like me, and my. I don't, can you imagine you make 14.6 million in 1 year and today you're broke? Really? I mean, you have people that don't make 5 million in a lifetime. So it's because if it's all about me keeping it, it just doesn't last long. So again, purposeful giving, it allows you to get better access to your wealth. Whatever it is you have, if you put your heart into it, you can get more access into more wealth, or keeping your longevity in wealth. It will give you wisdom that's above everybody else, and allow you to stay much longer. So anybody have any contributions, anything they want to mention about either the let me just stop the share for a minute. Do we have people on Facebook Live, but they can talk to us? That's true. We got a lot of them there. It's cool. Well, Ms. Jess, anything you want to add to that? All right. Okay.
Oh, no, I think you can hear it. No, I don't have anything more to add to it. Only that what you're saying is true. If you give like sparingly, then that's how it's going to be returned to you. And if you give, and then your attitude has a lot to do with it too.
Absolutely.
You have to have the right attitude. You have to believe that what you're doing is going to come back. What you're giving is going to come back, because I think it is a law.
Absolutely.
That we operate by, yeah.
It's a law on the earth. Honestly, it's not a Christian, a Muslim thing. I mean, I believe they preach this, in the mosque and in the churches and stuff. But truly, it's a law on the earth. I mean, I don't want to put it as a sample. I know of, I read a case about this group of guys that did like a money laundering type of thing, right? And the FBI caught all of them, and all of them went to jail except for one. And I happened to come across this person, and I was interviewing him, and I said, why is it that everybody got picked up and they all served time but you? And it's like, I don't know. They question me a lot. And then I started asking more questions, and I find out of the lot that he made from the scheme they put together. I mean, the scheme, big corporations and all that stuff, right? But of what he did, he gave like 30% back to the community. It gave to a church, it gave to this, it gave to different organizations. And the FBI was aware of that. They saw the money going into all those places, right? So they didn't arrest him. So, I mean, that's not a thing to do. I'm just saying that even for a bad person, it tells me, so when I look at them like, that's interesting. Because, I always thought giving is only related to, good. Of course, we all read the story about Robin Hood and all that stuff, but in a real life event, in life scenery, to see even our greatest country, they still did not, because they could have put a brother in jail. They could have, but they did not. Instead they had him to do something else. And I don't believe he's going to spill out the others. He never did. So anyway, it's really interesting when we have that mindset to give. So to purposely give will allow you to generally increase in what you do and to extend your life. Uh, Sometimes there is in the good book, they talk about giving. When you give, that it will open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing to you. And I've always wondered, what the hell does that mean? Windows of heaven. And it dawned on me one time is that's where ideas come from. So when you give, like when I gave the $5,000 for the for my case, it opens up something, and it gave me a boldness that otherwise would not have been there to ask for things and get it. So it's really important that when we look beyond just making money for our pocket and knowing, I'm not saying giving carelessly now, okay? I'm saying giving with a purpose, knowing you're tithing, you're offering, you're doing a first fruit, or you'll have time to serve in the community. When you don't have money, you give time, and that time still come back to you. The lady that wanted to be in medical school and yet was serving a community, what happened is she get the best school, while some other people are struggling to get enrolled in school. So it's just the more you give, the more that comes back. And the level which we should give, like Ms. Joyce was saying, is a level you can get back. Bill Gates became a billionaire because it just envisioned giving 50,000 products. 50,000 products. So, you wonder how this person make that money. It's set up like that. When we give, and the harvest is just different for everybody. So lastly, I just want you guys to know, again, when you look at the Christmas time, right? It's a beautiful time. We all love getting gifts for people, the energy. I was at the mall yesterday. I don't do malls often. And, the energy just of the shame. People like, oh, I got to get this with, you want to give to this person, you want to give to that person, your grandkids, and then you have other people. It's great for individual giving, right? But then you have other people that have a bigger cause, like, oh, I want to give to this abused women. I want to give to these abused children. I want to give to these undeserved people. I want to give to the homeless. Even to the homeless, when you give of your time to them, it comes back. It comes back. And if you notice that when we're doing this thing, even though we have this set time in the year when we're doing it, there's an energy with us in doing it. And when we do that, it just gives us that much more, our spirit is up. So even in our own inner self, we'll feel better about ourselves. And I really think that makes the difference in how you go about your day. When you feel better about yourself, the neurons of your brain start acting right. It starts saying things more. You have more clarity on where you want to go, what you want to do. It's just that energy. I'm a big believer in right energy for us to do great things. For great things to happen, the energy has got to be of the shot. And when we're giving, it gives us great energy, and it's given with that energy that's produced, that bring good things to us. When we're giving, of course, if you're giving, with a bad taste in your mouth, like, oh, I hate to do this, I hate to do that, well, you don't get the same result, right? That's why when you plant a seed on the ground, some seed blow up a whole lot because more rain comes to them. The rain gives them the energy, and now they blossom a lot, right? Some seed just, it comes up in spots here and there, but every seed will still produce something. You see that? Every seed will still produce something. So it's just the level of it. So, I'm going to end this in a good time. I want to thank everybody for coming on. And just to remember that the holidays is a great time. We love being with our families and everything. And if we remember that we're giving of our material, we're giving our time, we're giving of our service, that it does help us to have a better life. And if we just be that focused the rest of the year and look at these avenues of giving, I think it's going to give us a very productive life. So thank you all so much. Like we always say, is anybody have any parting comments before we do the raffle? Vincent, what's up?
How you doing? I jumped in late. I'm sorry.
That's cool. That's cool, bro. Any comments you want to make about giving and all that stuff?
Well, I just caught the last part when you were saying that. I'm sorry. But yeah, I actually right now I'm in a situation. I'll just be real brief. I have a shared living home in LA, so I'm definitely familiar with giving back to the homeless. We know rent in LA is crazy. I'm renting rooms to single moms with kids and that was living in hotels paying $85 a day, and $900 a month. So I'm definitely familiar with giving. I'm just trying to familiarize myself and build further relationships in the real estate space so we could grab some of these properties and give back to the community. There's a lot of homeless people. The biggest homeless population is between 18 and 25 years old right now in LA. So that's pretty bad.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. See, when you get it like that, when you get a vision like that, it's just gonna keep coming for you because your heart is in the right place. Like, hey, how can I do something about this? And that's where that's where the vision comes into play. And when that vision comes into play, you'll see things start falling, for you to make that happen.
Yeah.
So good deal. Good deal. All right. Anybody else have any comments? All right.